down.
Does he have it?
Medeiros is going to get it.
They're going to toss it. They haven't got it.
He's on the outside line though, going into the fastest corner on the circuit. Surely this can't work.
Dominic Ligner has got a sensational run outside line now though for the heavy braking zone. Around the outside goes the Audi R8.
Look how much Miller's come back into play. Exactly, Miller's still start dropping. He's not on second and change. All of a sudden, Miller's back in play.
Can Barry do it? Big Barry's going to do it. Big Barry!
Bonjour et bienvenue to Spa-Francorchamps. For the people who don't know what I just said, it's welcome to Spa-Francorchamps for round number 8 of the Radical World Series Europe. We're here at Spa-Francorchamps in the Ardennes. What a venue this is to host round number 8 of the championship. 3 rounds to go, round number 8, 9 and 10. And of course the last round, 11, excuse me, it's 4 rounds to go. Got that all wrong. Round 8 at Spa-Francorchamps. This track, 4.3 miles long. That is 7.004 kilometers long. A total of 20 corners, 10 to the right, 10 to the left. Was opened in August 1921. Located, of course, in Stavelot, Belgium. Of course, one of the corners called Stavelot 2. Fastest lap time ever recorded here was Valtteri Bottas in the Mercedes W09 in 2018. A 1:46.286. At the moment, the Radicals are running a 2:11 out on track, very close to the 2:10s. With me in the commentary booth this evening is Steven, just like normal, and we have a 90-minute race awaiting for us, Steven. But before we do that, we have a 10-minute qualifying session.
Yep, 10 minutes. The drivers will get 2 laps, 10 minutes. Get 2 laps. Best time that they cars will all have specific setups. Where to go? Get to the business end. 30 has showed up to every race so far, and we are missing a few faces today. Adam Isaacson is not racing this evening, so he did say last week that he may not be here. So we'll see some interesting racing this evening, and it's going to make lots of changes in the championship, I'm sure.
Well, Scotty Galligan is one to take into account. Usually, Scotty Galligan in the American ones always starts from the back and is a rocket at the start, an absolute rocket. Here he is, and his car says "Wash me" on the side too. So there you go, wash his car if you ever see it. Anyways, welcome into That Gamer Car 2. Welcome into the stream, buddy. Hope you're enjoying it from wherever you may be in the world. It's an interesting one, let's be honest. We have about 30 seconds left of this practice session, and qualifying is always an important one, especially last time out at Suzuka. I can tell you one thing, the top 3 from qualifying was the same in the race, and if it wasn't for a last lap overtake in the Americas, it would have been exactly the same there too. So that just tells you, Stephen, how difficult it was to overtake at Suzuka. And I said it multiple times, you know, that track just didn't lend itself for overtaking. It lent itself for good racing, but you couldn't just quite overtake all the time. It was Adam Isaacson who qualified on pole position ahead of Tim Bertie in P2 and Arturis Condalis in P3. And like I said, that's also the order that they finished in the race. Adam Isaacson, Tim Bertie and Arturis Condalis from first to third in that order. Practice has come to an end. It's time to do the business now out on track. Jurgen Frank, he's here once again, Stephen. So we might well see another dominant performance from him.
He's been rapid every time he's raced, yeah. So we're looking forward to seeing him around an iconic track, really, in Spa-Francorchamps. It's an absolute belter of a track to race around. Had a few laps myself in these cars this afternoon just to get a feel for the track. And it is blinding fun here. You can get the cars very sideways, very slippy, losing traction left and right, and still catch it. There's plenty of room and space to do so, but you can also still end up in the walls as well. So there is an element of risk involved throughout. But here we have the championship then. Standings then. Tim Bertie, by virtue of consistency and showing up every week, is currently leading the championship in first place with 280 points. Adam Isaacson in P2 with 248. Not with us this evening, so Tim Birdie can stretch that lead a bit further going into the close of the season. Dennis Kyrgiakopoulos, another one who's proved consistency is king, is in P3 with Arturas Kondelis in P4 with 220 points. Mike Bousson, also ever present so far this season, I believe. Maybe missed one or race, I think. Is sitting on 211 points. Jason Duckworth in P6 with 196. Jurgen Frank, by virtue of the fact that he's missed so many races, had maybe an incident or two. Particularly, I'm thinking at Sebring all those races ago. It's currently sitting on 194 points, but there's still time and space left in the season to make positions up. Rudolf Nagel in P8 with 184. And John Hutchinson, who's had a topsy-turvy season so far, but is still sitting in the top 10 championship-wise on 171 points, and rounding out the top 10, Paul Clark with 166. So carrying on now with the championship, we have Stephen Place in P11, Ivan Bremer in P12, Rafael Blanco in 13, 14 belongs to Jorge Gonzaga, Menno de Graaf in P15, Alfredo Melo in P16. He's been rapid on occasion, but just hasn't shown up enough really this season. I think P17 belongs now to Guy Robinson, and then moving on down the list, we have Guy Robinson, as I said, P17, Paul Crabb in P18, Alexander Roggenbuck in P19, Stefan Mellis in P20, Andy Behan in P21, David Rollison in P22, Daniel Cascaro in P23, 24 belongs to Nihad Glusik, and 25, David Walters, 26, Paul LeMay, 27, Connor Scribner, and then we have Wienik in P28, and LeMay in P29, Hrazki in P30, Sandro Capella, Graham Brown, Damien G, Joseph Emmett, David Tatari, and Gary Truby, and Andy Hugel. Lucas Dolter, we're starting to get at the realms of the people who have not showed up much. One or two races here from Kjetil, Larsen, Hjøiberg, and the rest. But yes, carrying on now. Championship standings seems to be sewn up so far by Tim RC Beethoven. But Radline's still in with a shout there, Dan. What do you think?
Well, it's close at the top, not as close as it was before. Team Redline and Team MK Racing, they're still fighting for second and third in the championship. Then behind that you have Team Redline Yellow and Simracing fighting for fourth and fifth. But there's a bit of a gap between Simracing Beethoven, Team Redline, and MK Racing and Team Redline Yellow. So I think they're in their own fight. Team Redline is looking at MK. And the other way around, and Team Redline Yellow is looking at Simracing. Simracing Mosul in 6th, head of Islands Racing in 7th. Also in a battle of themselves together with Tiger Team, a Platinum Racing team. That team only represented by E1 Bremer. Insert name E-Racing team also involved in that battle. Then on 122, it is Team BRA, Two Brothers Racing in 12th. Might I in 13th, 14th, Pocket Rocket Racing. Brad Sports Sim Racing in P15, Essential Racing Team P16, BGB in P17, ahead of Charles Cheeky in P18. Now IGL Coding E-Racing in 19, and Kim Andre Holberg in P20. It's time to go down to the track now, because the drivers are putting in their quick laps, and first one across the line will be Jurgen Frank. There we go, first lap time on the board is Jurgen Frank on a 2:11.490. 8/10 ahead of Kyrgiakopoulos. McCutcheon puts himself in between that 700s. Behind that is Tim Birdie, his teammate. Like we said, looking good in the championship for him. Just by being consistent. And throughout the season, I have to say, Stephen, Birdie really has been improving.
He certainly has. He's getting marginally quicker as well, and he's getting better at staying with these guys at the top. But it's a German lockout on the front row so far in qualifying at Spar. And it's looking very good for John Hutchinson, who's proving he's got a lot of pace here. He's within a 10th of Frank here, and he'll be very happy with his time so far. It all remains to see what they can do on the second and final lap that they all have. What a great livery McHutchinson has got on this week as well. It looks like they've changed that ever so slightly. But a bit of a flame workout going on there with that livery, and I, for one, love it.
It's a great livery, I think, and McHutchinson is rocking it out on track. For Redline, of course, has a Scottish flag and Hutch on the rear wing. Love that. Love that little detail. Of course, McHutchinson, he's very quick if he gets to his track. But he's been struggling a bit this season. Let's put it like that. And, well, it's not been fun to see McCutcheon struggle. He was very apparent a few seasons ago and has been a bit, you know, transparent this season. Let's put it like that. Has not been the McCutcheon we've seen all the other seasons. However, is putting up a good fight to Jurgen Frank this evening. Tim Bertie, Jurgen Frank and John McCutcheon, all three of them sharing purple sectors. Hutchinson in Sector 1, Frank in Sector 2, and Bertie in Sector 3. So, we might well see this top three within a few thousandths of a second.
Yeah, it's going to be tight at the top for sure. And as we see, McCutcheon is coming down now into the bus stop chicane and see what kind of time he can set for his final lap that he'll get to do here in qualifying, as well as everybody else is going to cross the line. So 2:11 flat from Frank. What a time that is. Very, very close to the 10s. And McCutcheon is only 200ths behind that as well. It looks like Bertie has not managed to get his time in just yet. Not sure where he is. There he is on track. He's just 900ths behind that as well, but it's only good enough for P3 with 11.2. Karabelas some way off the back of that, 6/10 below, but may still be yet to do his second lap. But Bertie loses out on the little run there that we had between the top three. They're not going to get another chance to set a lap time here. It's 10 minutes or 2 laps, I believe, in iRacing, and that's going to be your lot for qualifying so far from the top three. But anybody else upset things here? We've got Place and Buisson. Place gets up to P4, Buisson gets up to P5. And Karabelas now struggling 5/10 off the pace of the front three. But we've seen this before. The front three guys going to take off a bit, have a pace and then a level of their own. And it's a battle between them. And if there's anything goes awry between those three, then you've got to be in a position to take advantage.
Now, I do think that they have 4 laps to set their lap time. The thing is, you're never going to get 4 laps in, because this track is so long. So the maximum they can do is 3 laps. Jurgen Frank purple in that, well, in sector number 2 again. So we might see him improve. Now, with this lap being so long, lap 3 or lap 2 will be the optimum lap for this car. It'll be close between those 2 laps. So you have 2 real laps where you can kind of give it all. Jurgen Frank purple in sector number 3 too. 2 sectors to go for the German. Is now coming out of Stavelo.
He's looking rapid at the moment as well, with the purple sectors lighting up his board. It's going to be an unbelievable lap here from Jurgen Frank. I believe he could well get into the 10s. He's looking sharp.
Into the bus stop chicane. That is what is going to decide this lap. Can he get down into the 210s? He would be the only one so far to do it. McCutcheon not improving. However, purple in section number 4 across the line for Jurgen Frank. Can he do anything about his lap time across the line for the German? And we'll see what he can put in. Yes, he can. A 210.946. However, McCutcheon behind that, coming through as well in 211. Tim Bertie, can he jump to P2? No, he can't. 800s behind McCutcheon. And that is it for the top 3 in qualifying. Jurgen Frank is going to continue, but he's not going to have enough time to come round again and put in another lap time. This is just going to be practice for the race. Steven Place, however, might jump up to P3. Does not. Closes the gap down to about 2.5 of a second to Tim Bertie. But that is still a big, big gap compared to what we had in the rest of the season. Buisson in P9 and 9.5 behind Jurgen Frank. Then the first one outside of a second is Gonzaga on 1.5. You can kind of see the top 6 is within a second, and then you jump to 1.5 seconds to Gonzaga and P7. It's quite a big gap.
Wonder whether that's down to just a mistake or 2 in each of the qualifying laps as well. But we have got that game of K1 in chat. Evening to you, mate. Good to see you here. Thanks for your support. But that is qualifying done, and we're going to be underway rather rapidly, I believe, in this series. And Jurgen Frank sits on pole, and will be looking to take charge down into the source and get a good gap over McCutcheon. McCutcheon really needs to get past early, maybe force the mistakes. Otherwise, he's not going to have a chance. Jurgen Frank's going to disappear into the win.
Well, let's take a look at how they'll be lining up here this evening. There we go. There's the grid. Tim Bertie, like we said, a good qualifying for him once again. Jurgen Frank in P1 ahead of John McCutcheon in P2. Tim Bertie in P3 ahead of Steven Place in P4. Mike Buisson 5th. Dennis Kyrgiopoulos rounding off the 3rd row ahead of George Gonzaga and Ivan Bremer on the 4th row. Stefan Mellis in P9 ahead of Andy Bain in P10, rounding off our top 10. Daniele Cascado in P11 ahead of Guy Robertson in P12. And rounding off row number 7, it's Alex Roggenbuck and Scotty Galligan. Like I said, Scott Galligan not putting in a qualifying time, starting from the back of the grid. Let's see how he will do this race. Waiting for everyone to grid up. Here is our pole sitter. He will be the one to lead us away down into La Source. And what an important corner that is. Turn about 120, 130 degrees to the right. Onto the hill, of course, leading onto Eau Rouge Radion. And that's an important bit. First lap, you want to get through there cleanly. And let's take a look if they can. Here we go. The red lights are on the gantry. They're out and we are underway for round number 8 here at Spa Francorchamps. McHutchinson with a good start, already challenging Jurgen Frank down in the turn 1. Has got to go around the outside of La Source. Not going to be the optimal line. Jurgen Frank keeps P1. And now McHutchinson is under attack from Tim Bertie. A little bit further back though, Stephen Place with a good start. They're going to go side by side into Eau Rouge. Where is Ivan Bremer going to go? Well, it's single file, to be honest, through Eau Rouge. All very smart. 1.5 hours of driving. Scotty Galligan, however, up into P10 already, Stephen.
Yeah, what a start from him. You said he was rapid at the beginning, and he's proven to live up to that praise, really. He's getting through the pack like a hot knife through butter. But into the comms we go here. He's just moving nicely as John McHutchinson did what he needed to do, got the jump, gets the lead, and now has to hold Frank up as best he can. And maybe get Frank in a bit of spot of bother with Tim Bertie. But Tim Bertie and Frank, teammates, of course, may not want to trip over each other's toes too much.
Well, behind that, Mike Buisson, teammates of McHutchinson. So if those two want to work together, if Buisson can put some pressure on Tim Bertie, then maybe Tim Bertie's going to put some pressure on his teammate too, which is in fact going to help John McHutchinson out. However, he has to do the job himself too. He has to keep performing. But this is promising. That top 4, 2 teams. Well, 4 different drivers from 2 different teams. It is Simracing Beethoven and Team Redline at the front of this pack. Then we have Stephen Place with Dennis Kyrgiopoulos and Ivan Bremer in a pack too. Ivan Bremer, I think 2 races ago, switched to this red livery. Was rocking a green one before. Now has the platinum on the rear wing. But John McHutchinson, like you said, did what he needed to do. However, what he needs to do now, Stephen, is try and get away from Jurgen Frank, because as we know, Jurgen Frank is deadly consistent.
I don't think that's possible, to be honest. He's not going to be able to get drop Jurgen Frank on pure pace alone. What he has to do, I believe, is he's going to set a trap, I think, in this situation. He's going to have to open a door somewhere that he wants to show Frank into, just to close it at a moment of his choosing, in order to get him under pressure from the guys behind. That's not going to be a lot easier said than done, though, as this track doesn't take any prisoners, really. Eau Rouge is pretty much flat in these cars, fairly simply flat, as well, as long as the tyres aren't cold. And but the slipstream down Kemmel Straight is going to be massive, and he's going to have to defend all over this track, not just into down into Kemmel Straight and Les Combs. But so for the moment, they're all happy to just trundle along in formation and keep an eye on each other's gearboxes for each other.
What Jurgen Frank can do here too, Stephen, is kind of try and save fuel, like we said at Daytona 2 races ago when we had the endurance round 2. That one won by Bertie, or Jurgen Frank. Behind that, Tim Bertie. A good round for Tim Bertie, I think. And so you have to say that Tim Bertie, he's been performing as expected, really, as a teammate of Frank. Frank is deadly consistent. We said it before. We're going to keep saying it. There is nothing that you can do to try and keep Frank from putting in those consistent lap times. The only thing you can do is what McHutchinson is doing now, and that is get into the lead and try and dictate the pace a bit. Artur Skondalis in that race came through in P3, or Rudolf Nagel came through in P3. Rudolf Nagel at the moment not here, so he can't do anything about the fact that Frank and Brody are once again P2 and 3. However, we've seen how good they can work together at Simracing Beethoven, so we might see some more of that this evening.
Certainly might. But Spar, I mean, this track, it's so iconic, this track, and the racing that you can get here looks as though maybe Jurgen Frank is just content with things as they stand. You might be right that they might be looking to go for some kind of different strategy to go for the overtakes here. But time being, we've got this tasty little battle between SimRC Beethoven and Team Radline brewing nicely, and but yeah, it's going to be a long one. Everybody's settled in for the long haul, and just kind of getting themselves comfortable and into a rhythm for this long race. Good news so far is that absolutely nobody has spanned, crashed, or done anything untoward. So everybody is still running 3 laps in.
Rotate. Thing is, Jurgen Frank is all over the back of McCutcheon here, and I have a feeling that, yeah, there we go, clutching in. He's clutching in, Stephen. He's doing what he did at Daytona. Going to try and save fuel behind McCutcheon, run for a bit longer. But yeah, you can hear it clearly. We're going to shut up next lap, and we're going to give you a lap around the track of Spar. McCutcheon is going to have to watch out. He's pulling this train along. He's pulling Frank, Bertie, Buson, Blaze. He's pulling them all along. Kind of in a slipstream train. They can save fuel. It's going to be dangerous for the end of the race. If McCutcheon is doing the same, let's go on board. Let's be quiet. McCutcheon not doing the same. He's going flat out. But he can't save fuel because he's not on the slipstream. If he's going to save fuel, the whole pack is going to start losing time. And it's going to lose time for Frank behind. And all 4 of them will lose places to Kieran Coppolas, Bremer, Gallagher, and Bean, who are right behind them, trying to find their way up the order. Scotty Gallagher, talked about finding a way up the order, is in P8, up 6 positions from where he was before.
Looks like we've had an incident at the back as well between cars 13 and 14. Cascaro and Robertson stopped on track for a moment there. I'm not sure what went on there, but maybe we can get a replay of that. So here we are on board with them as they come through. I believe that is Campus. Just tap to the bum, bit of a low tap, and unsettles the car quite nicely, and he rightly so waits. I believe that looks like their liveries are very similar. Are they teammates? I wonder, but
I don't think so.
Waits for him, very sportsmanlike. Gives a position back. It cost them both a position or 2, regardless. Anyway, so that was too many smiley faces in that. In those radicals at the moment.
Frank, here he is all over the back of McCutcheon again. Gonna shut up here to Lecombe because you can hear him pull the clutch. Hear those revs drop, and when he releases the clutch again, you can hear those revs come on again. Now, this is something that let's be honest, if you do this in a race car, Stephen, then I think you're going to last for about a lap or 4 or 5 max, and then your clutch is going to be burned down. It's going to be stuck together, and there's going to be no clutch left. So you're going to have an issue then.
Yeah, certainly going to put a lot of work through it, but this being a game, and no clutch damage simulated in iRacing. Maybe that's after the wet weather update, who knows. But yeah, you can get away with it a little bit more.
When are they coming with that though? Because they've said for about 2 years now, and James and I have had a ramble about this too. When is this wet weather, when is this rain finally going to come? Because they've been going on about it for two and a half years now, and it's still not here.
Honestly, given the data that they've given and leaked so far about what they're working on and how they want this rain to function, I hope they take it as long as they need to get it 100% perfect and right, other than, to set it apart, because already iRacing has already set itself apart from many other sims out there, and if it can do rain even better, as you saw, very noticeably here, as you can see at the bus stop, is Jurgen Frank just lifting off, braking early, giving all the time and space in the world to McHutchinson. No pressure on him at the moment, but as you say, it's all about the strategy here. As he's it's not got the fastest lap by a few hundred, so he's definitely got the pace over McHutchinson, as we suspect. He's staying with him very neat and tidily throughout these laps here. No mistakes. This is Jürgen Frank's one as his purple car there. That is Mellis in the background there, the Belgian at his home track. Or was it Callahan actually? It was Callahan, the Australian. There, getting a bit sideways out of La Source. Managed to catch it, but to maybe ease through Eau Rouge and Radio, because very easy to overdrive the cars here at Spar. Very, very easy to do so. And then once you overdrive it a little bit, you overheat the tyres. Very quick to do so that as well. We've got a bit of a battle raging here between Karabelas and Bremer, I believe. Bremer has changed his livery as well. Karabelas in the blue, chasing him down into Bruxelles. Here we go. Not a conventional overtaking spot, but definitely can't get a move done here if the guy ahead runs wide. No name. Guys are taking a lot more curb than I can manage in no name, I have to say.
Yeah, these cars seem to be taking the curves really well. Now, I have to say, I talked to E1 after the race, or he talked to me and he said, please keep it to my English pronunciation. He thought that the pronunciation didn't sound as full as the English pronunciation did. After last time I said that I needed to keep it at Bremer, but we're gonna go with Bremer. E1 Bremer is gone wide. Once we're talking about him at Stavelo. But no, we're going to call him Bremer for the time being. So that means, Stephen, for you, that you don't have to worry about the Dutch pronunciation anymore.
I'm not sure I was particularly worried about it previously, to be honest, but yeah. It's a battle of the ages. These guys have been battling all season long, have Bremer and Karabelas. And Karabelas currently sitting third in the championship as well. Looking at tasty is the dual nationality Swiss-Greek driver. So he's got a number of points to be made up here as well. He can maybe possibly jump Adam Isaacson in the championship if he gets over 22 points today, which I believe P7 may not be enough. Should be enough. Sorry, should say.
Stefan Mellis is ahead of Bian in P10. This is the battle for P9. You can just see Andy in the background. Gonzaga is chasing him down too. All three of these drivers are... The gap is about the second between them all. However, Mellis has now pulled out a bit of a gap to Bian. You see Gonzaga also got closer to him. So Bian not having the best of Rouge Rally on there. And that has lost him a handful of tenths. Coach Gonzaga right on him now to try and put him under pressure, try and see what he can do. But Hutchinson in P1 is still ahead of Jürgen Frank. He's that battle for the lead. But I have a feeling that Jürgen Frank at the moment is going to go absolutely nowhere.
He's just toying with him. He's just, as you say, saving his car, saving the tyres, waiting for the opportune moment. And maybe looking to get this done in the pit stops.
Well, let's be honest, that is what endurance is too. It's strategy, figuring out when you want to stop, and just playing the long game. You can be leading now, you can be McHutchinson and be leading now. But if Jürgen Frank can save fuel, and with that lead the last 20 minutes because he had a shorter last stop, then, you know, in the end it's going to pay off for Jürgen Frank to just stick behind McHutchinson now. Kind of, you know, take it as an advantage, the fact that you can now take, McHutchinson is slipstream, try and chase him down a bit. As long as Tim Bertie, you know it's your teammate, he's not going to attack you in any way. Tim Bertie knows that he in the championship just needs to finish well. If he can finish behind Frank and just save fuel too and finish in P2, he's going to gain points on everyone in the championship. Because Frank, let's be honest, he's not in the championship anymore because he's lost so many rounds so far. So if Bertie can just finish P2, I think he will be very content with that.
So what Bertie has been doing all season is just making sure that he gets those podium finishes. I don't believe he's finished outside of the podium so far. So we'll check that for you though, but yeah, certainly hasn't. So, well, sorry, once in round 5, I believe, maybe he's finished in 5th place. But top 5 finish every round so far for Tim Bertie. Missed 1 round, so he's proving consistency is king, as we've mentioned before. As Hutchinson gets very close to the back of, Frank gets very close to the back of Hutchinson there in, as we come into Brussels, I believe we are. It's come round No Name, and
this corner though is called No Name, but as so many corners on this track, it has a bunch of names. How do you call this corner? Pouon, probably.
Pouon, yeah,
now,
it's also got another name as well.
Double gauche, double left-hander in French. Then No Name has got the name Speaker's Corner too. So the official names, which I've talked to with someone that is very close to the owner of the track, and he says the official names are Double Gauche and Speaker's Corner. There we go. Those are, from the owner, the official names. However, everyone in the racing world calls it either Pouon or No Name. So there we go. It's tricky.
Yeah, it is the rule of the masses, basically, isn't it? It's what everybody uses the actual names, what everybody actually calls the corners. But it's like John Hutt maybe getting a bit defensive there in the bus stop, but not necessarily so. But it looks like Frank is very close to the back of him now because we come down into the source. Is there going to be a move here sooner rather than later? It looks like Frank's starting to get a bit of a shift on. He's giving him plenty of space and working room there into the source. Look at how much track he uses there on the exit of the source as well, using every inch available. Is he going to go for the move then into Les Combs as he gets a run down through Eau Rouge, up into Radion, onto the Kemmel Straight now. He's going to get such a great toe here down this. Is he going to be able to go for the move finally? He's definitely pushing him along now as the gap is 1/10 as the hurdle towards Les Combs. A heavy braking zone coming up, and it doesn't go for it. Brakes early, happy to sit behind still.
Where's Jürgen Frank gonna go? Bertie in P3, still keeping him very honest. Don't think, like I said, Bertie's gonna go for a move since he's the teammate of Frank. But Frank certainly seems to be telling McHutchinson to get a bit of a move on here, because the body language of Jürgen Frank's car coming out of Double Gauche has changed radically. Because, well, okay, I did not intend to pun there, but it kind of formed itself. Did not intend that one, but there we go. Radically in the radicals. Jürgen Frank, that car looks very aggressive. Do you not agree, Stephen? Because all of a sudden he's been on the back of McHutchinson, coming out of Stavelo into Curve Pool Frere and Blanchimont, just pushing him through Blanchimont almost. So
yep, he's starting to ask some questions for sure. He is definitely starting to ask some questions. Maybe he's trying to get McHutchinson to get a shift on. Currently lapping in the low 12s, 12:35s, and the fastest man on track last lap was Tim Bertie with a 12.21. So it is maybe time for McHutchinson to get a wriggle on and maybe start getting into the 11s where we saw them all in qualifying. I mean, Jürgen Frank, the only man in qualifying to hit the 10s, 10.9 he managed. So maybe we're going to see him look to get past and start to stretch his legs a bit here at Spar.
A little bit further back, it is Kiri Couples in a battle with Scotty Galligan, the Australian, and Iwan Bremer. You have to give it to Scotty Galligan. It is early for him now, I think, in Australia. It is very early for him. They're just waking up now.
It's what you call commitment, but he seems to be involved in a committed battle here between Kiri Couples and Bremer. Not for the first time. Well, the last, these guys are fighting it out on track. But moment though that Bremer has the slight pace advantage, and if Kiri Couples was to get past, we're not going to get the toe from the guys ahead. Means they might just probably get re-overtaken at pretty short order. But yeah, it's a little sneaky look up the inside at Les Combs, but thinks better of a lunge from that far back.
Here is another one. Daniele Cascado on the back of Robertson. The Italian absolutely going for it. And P14 trying to make up some ground lost earlier on. The two of them collided earlier on. Who's now going to try and do this cleanly this time. You can see the tap on the back there. Daniele Cascado, surely, Stephen, surely he has him at the end of this straight. Is he going to stick behind? He's not. He is. He's not going to pull out. He's going to stick behind Robertson for this time round. And this is absolutely well, why would you do that in P14? Why would
the only reason you can think of is that maybe they've already swapped positions a couple of times and they're just holding each other up by racing each other. Maybe they're working together to catch the guys up ahead. Groggenbuck, 22 seconds off the back of Behan is definitely going to be in their sights as this battle here with Karabelas, Callahan and Bremer is still getting saucy as look at the lines that Karabelas is using here through Blanchimont. We go as we follow on the front bonnet of Karabelas' car. You can see how close these guys are racing, how quickly they're following us. We see the absolutely fantastic
got onto the grass
JPB logo there. He did, yes. I mean, that can be very dangerous in these cars as well, especially under braking. It can really unsettle the car, cause a big old wobble that you do not want. But look at the view you've got there of that JPB Broadcasting logo on the back of Bremer's car there in red, platinum wing. As we go now through Eau Rouge. Look at that sight there, look at that hill. Daunting as it looks as you sweep through it at flat out pace in these cars. As a bit of a wiggle there from the car ahead on the rears. It's not quite liking going through Flatsby there. Maybe the setup that these guys are using is radically different from the one I did. See, you're not the only one who can get that one in there. As looks like Karabelas is going to go for the move now. As he's poking his nose down the inside, he looks to be getting it done nice and cleanly, outbrakes him, gets it turned for the second part of Les Combs, and is ahead as we go down now to Bruxelles. Looks like Bremer unable to look back into Bruxelles. Callahan currently very much amongst it now, as he's caught up now that these guys are fighting it amongst themselves.
And I've got a Cascado on the back of Robertson again. I have a feeling here, Stephen, that Cascado is a lot quicker than Robertson is. However, is he going to go for the move? Yes, he is. This time round, Daniele Cascado up the inside of Lecombe. And he's going to get it done before we get to the exit of Lecombe into Malmedy. The right-hander here, downhill Malmedy. 5 SRE got through. However, Robertson is going to have another look down the inside of Bruxelles. Cascado leaves him the room. They both go wide. And I think Robertson even outbraked himself a little bit there. Daniele Cascado is now going to try and get away from Robertson, because if they stay this close, Robertson is just going to go for the re-overtake. And he is here down into double gauche. This can never go well. Side by side through. Is the contact between the two? There's not. And Robertson once again gets through. And I think you were right with saying that they swapped positions a couple of times. Cascado now down the inside of Robertson again. Robertson does not want to give this one up.
These guys are having an absolute ting-tong battle. Oh, gets very slightly there. Does he out of the corner? Oh, have come into Stavelot there. And Cascado had to take avoiding action as he came across the stricken Cascado there. As Roggenbuck has had something going on. We watch a replay of this. He comes down into the bus stop and outbrakes himself, maybe. Does he? No, he just gets on the loud pedal a bit too early and ends up sideways, but doesn't lose too much time. Gets back going very in short order. And but yeah, he'll lose a couple of seconds at least from that. And that gives guys behind even more chance to catch up. As long as they stop battling each other the entire way, because so far, they've just seem to be throwing caution to the wind, these two guys at the back, Cascado and Robinson. Happy to just fight each other out. With each other for the rest of this race. Cascado, though, taking advantage of Robertson's mistake there. Robertson sending up the inside of Pouan, though, as we've got another side-by-side, more side-by-side action here. It's Callahan going around the outside of Bremer. Bremer losing out 2 positions, I believe, there. Unless you already, Karabelas has already passed, but Callahan making his way past another one, starting from the back, and now in P7. And yeah, he's going through this crowd quite easily here, quite handily, with the 666. Number of the beast number on the vehicle. I absolutely love that. What a livery as well. Wash me, it says.
Yeah. I mean, it looks like he's just taken the car and draws and drew some pink lines on it, but it's working. There's contact between the two. Scotty Gallagher is off the track. Oh,
That was far too aggressive from Callahan there into, I believe we are into Bruxelles there as he comes back on the track. I'm not sure.
Le
Is that
Fun.
Bruxelles or
Le
is it
Fun.
like,
the chicane Le Fun that people also, I think, call the Piff Path. Le Fun was that one. Just too aggressive, just wanted too much too quickly. And half of the progression that he had done through the field. Melis, Gonzaga, Bremer, all three of the drivers are through. Previously had overtaken half of the field already and was on his way to overtake Mike Boost in the P5. However, Karabelas and Bremer are both off, going into the bus stop chicane. And he might get them both back. There he is, Scotty Gallagher. Is he going to get them? I don't think so. They get underway again. However,
there's a fair bit of damage to that car as well. Oh.
Yeah, Bremer is grabbing. Bremer is going to have to grab this whole way through. Andy, where is he going to come out? Bremer is on the grass. Watch out. Oh, Bremer looks absolutely strucken by that. I have a feeling that was a slowdown for Ivan Bremer because he seems to gather some speed again. George Gonzaga got through into PA2. Dennis Kiriakopoulos, even though he wasn't in... Oh, he was very much involved in that crash. No slowdown for him, however, there
he's going to slow down now. What's he doing? What? Yep, he slowed right down though. He's giving a lot of positions back.
Oh, there might be something wrong with the engine of that car. And there we go. Kiriakopoulos has returned back to pit lane. Kiriakopoulos, I think something wrong with that car after the crash and could not continue. Ivan Bremer into P9 and Scotty Gallagher, funnily enough, has only lost one position with that, and that might be a drive shaft broken for Dennis Kiriakopoulos. Had that contact with Scotty Gallagher earlier on. We're going to take a look at what happened between him and Ivan Bremer.
I mean,
here we go.
Big winner out of all of this as well, though, is Stefan Melis, who's managed to get himself up into P6. But let's have a look on board here as we go down into bus stop. Oh, he just loses on the braking, doesn't he? Just gets a big snap on the braking.
Again. Look at that. We're going to take a replay at it again. Dennis Kiriakopoulos. Take a look. He's on the grass, I suspect, on the left-hand side. Yep, there we go.
Yep.
Onto the grass. And that might be a drive shaft broken for Dennis Kiriakopoulos. And that is race ending, of course. If a drive shaft breaks, there's no way you're going to get that back and repaired and out on track in time. Well, at least in an hour and 3 minutes. There's no mechanic. Well, Stephen, let's be honest. You can put 12 mechanics on it and they still won't be able to fix it in time for the end of this race. Scotty Gallagher is on the back of Gonzaga now. Stefan Melis in P6. He's about 5.6 seconds ahead of this battle. Then Buson in P5, Blaze in P4, Bertie P3, Frank in P2, who is still chasing down McCutcheon and still sticking behind to try and save some fuel.
I think Callahan's got Gonzaga back in his sights as well. Did catch him up quite quickly as well, so you imagine he's probably going to want to get past him in short order. We already saw the kind of aggression he's willing to show. He seems to have come off relatively unscathed. Car seems in good working order as it stands at the moment after putting his nose. I mean, maybe he thought he was entitled to a bit of space there, a bit more space there, but definitely got his nose chopped off in the end anyway. There's had a bit of drama here. Cascado in the pit lane as it stands as well. Car number 13 travelling down the exit as we speak. Maybe looking to get so a little bit of repairs done there as well, or maybe he just wants out of that fight with Robertson. They've been going at it hammer and tongs the entire race as well. Maybe he's taking on a lot of fuel here as well because he seems to be in the pits for a while. Could just be fixing those dents and bumps though.
In the pit lane for 21 seconds now. I think there's definitely a fast repair used there for Cascado after the damage he took. Take a look at the rear end of that car. Once he comes out of the pit lane, we're going to see how the rear end of that car is looking. And yes, a fast repair taken by Daniele Cascado. Out of the pits again, a 28.25 second pit stop. So definitely some fuel taken on board there. His last pit stop, as usual, will probably be just go in and go back out again. And we'll probably see those seconds, well, those 1 second pit stops again. However, Guy Robertson Might need to pit a bit earlier. This is into Lecombe. On the exit. Don't tell me he's spun into Malmedy. He has on the exit of Malmedy. Guy Robertson. He did well though to kind of keep that pointing in the right direction. And get on the way quickly. I think lost about 2-3 seconds maximum with that. However, it's going to go round again almost. Not the best view. Since we're at the moment. Well, you have a lot of them here in the Ardennes Forest.
In the middle of a forest, so it can be tricky to see at times depending on your perspective. But yeah, that's just a classic example there from Cascado of overdriving the car. Once you overdrive it in a corner or two, you really need to make sure that you keep those tyres nice and cool. Don't keep overdriving it. You've got to let the car lean into very gently to a couple of corners rather than throwing it in there. Keeping it smooth is the order of the day around Spar here, I found, behind the wheel of these critters. Very lively to a kick or two, and it's very fun for them to do that, but it quickly overheats the tyres, makes it a lot more difficult to drive. So that's what happened to Cascado there. It's just overdriving, overheating the tyres a little bit, lost control of Malmedy.
Now, when is Jürgen Frank going to make this move? Because at some point you say, okay, I've saved enough fuel now. Let me try and make this move on McHutchinson and see what I can do. See if I can try and break away together with my teammate Bertie. Try and create a gap for my teammate too, because he's in the lead of the championship. I think Frank is driving for Bertie here. He's trying to, of course, go for the win himself, but he knows that he's not in the championship fight anymore here. Let's be honest. It is Bertie who's in the championship fight, and Stephen Place who is behind him in the championship. Stephen Place leading the America ones, so he doesn't need to win this one. He is already leading the America Championships. He's doing well there. A bit, you know, he's been struggling in the Europe one, and I don't know what that's down to. I don't know if that's just experience that is getting him through the races in the America ones, but he's struggling a bit. Here he is, he's overtaking traffic. This is not a car ahead of him for position. Traffic, and I have a feeling this is Guy Robertson. No, it is not Guy Robertson. It is Dennis. Who is it? Alex Ross. I'm baffled.
I am too. I am absolutely.
Who was ahead of him? He's not on my timing screen. Number 34. Oh no, this Stephen Place, my Buson.
It's Buson behind him, I think.
Goodness
I think
me.
that's what.
We've had a howler there. My Buson is chasing him down. I thought that Stephen Place was the orange car, of course, with his red Canadian flag. That's what confused me. But it is Stephen Place in the yellow car ahead, of course, with the Canadian flag on the front of that car. What a howler I've just had there. Excuse me for that. Mike Buson is chasing him down, 5 cents behind him. Tim Bertie.
There's the traffic. There's the traffic getting out of the way. That's Cascado or Robertson, I believe, there, getting out of the way of the leaders. But still very tight between those three. They seem happy to let for the time being so far. 15 laps in, has just dictated the pace and led everybody around at a nice leisurely pace for these guys behind, it seems. And once they're released, I imagine this is how it's going to be done. He's going to dive into the pits at some stage earlier than these guys because his fuel won't last as long as theirs. And at that point, they'll put the pedal to the metal, get round in a 2:11, and maybe open up a second gap or so, and maybe more if we get the entry to the pit entry right as well, which can be tricky here at Spar, to say the least, is the pit entry, but very, very close to the back of the Hutchinson into bus stop. But as you say, he's just very, very happy to just sit behind, just not looking very aggressive or likely to make the move at all. The lines from John McHutchinson are nice and tidy themselves as well. Not letting it too slow. Some battles are rising up and down the grid. We've got Bihan behind Bremer. Bremer maybe on a bit of a recovery here. Bihan, look at that damage there to Bremer's car as well. He's going to need a fast repair when he comes in. Maybe he's going to take the time to repair that if it's a short repair on its own, and then save the fast repair for maybe the next shunt, but that's planning for failure if you ask me. But Bihan looks as though He's steering on the inside there, but doesn't go for it into the source. Knows that if he gets a good exit out of the source, you get a very, very good tow all the way along the Kemmel Straight. And through Eau Rouge they'll go now. But in single file, as is best to do here, it's a very difficult corner to go side by side through here. But Callahan has managed to make short work of Gonzaga in the end, and does start to get away. But is Gonzaga going to send one up the inside of Lescombe? He's moved out late, and looks like he's going to go for it. He's going to try and outbrake, but nope. Callahan says, thank you very much, I'll take the outside line, I'll take the race line, I'll take the faster line, and I'll brake later than you on top as well. So not bad defence there from Callahan.
Scotty Gallagher up 8 now, doing well. How far can he go, you think, though, Stephen?
It's a 15-second gap now to the next man, so it's going to be a tall order to get that done. But if he gets his pit stops right, he can maybe push into the top 5. But once he catches those guys, then he's got battles on his hands that maybe he hasn't got a big difference in pace to deal with in such short order. So they may prove more difficult to overtake. But so far, so good for Callahan. Absolute blinding drive. 8 positions gained, and driver of the day for sure so far.
As he often is, because he just overtakes so many people. He starts at the back of the grid, then has a lightning start at the beginning. Usually already takes about 2-3 positions there, and then just goes on from there. And I think without that crash, he would have been on the back of Buson right now. However, could have, would have, should have is something that we don't like to look a lot at here, because what happened, and you have to work with it. And Scotty Gallagher has done that so far, and in a spectacular way. Up 8 positions, P6 right now, 15.1 to Buson. Let's see what's still in there though for Scotty Gallagher. I don't think he's done here.
12.4 from him that lap, so on par pace-wise that lap with the driver ahead of him in Mike Buson. But the guys at the front 3 are currently in the 12 flat zone, so 4 or 5 tenths quicker still. And McCutchinson with the fastest lap of the race last lap with an 11.95. So he's starting to get a wriggle on, and but I'm sure Frank and Bertie are satisfied with that. They probably don't mind. They've probably got a bit more pace in hand still, as they are content to just follow the Scotsman through the Ardennes Forest here for a nice leisurely Sunday drive.
Van Bremer still with pressure behind him. Van Bremer seems to be in the wars so much in this race. Also, that car, you have to say, the aerodynamics of that car, I'm not an aerodynamicist, but that is not how it's supposed to be, and that is going to slow him down a bit in a straight line. Now, with the amount of straights that we have here at Spa-Francorchamps, that's going to hurt your pace quite a lot.
For sure, it's going to be costing him at least a second a lap, I believe, that kind of damage. And the sooner he realises that, the better, because he's got to come in, really. He's got a fast repair there. He might as well come in, get one of his pit stops out of the way, take a bit of fuel on board, and go out for another stint, and then come in just for 10 minutes before the end for the last stop as a stop and go. And but yeah, he needs to get that fixed, because at the moment he's coming under heavy pressure from Behan, who he wasn't even in a race with up until now. He was fighting much higher up the field before. So he needs to get something needs to give, something needs to change here for Bremer.
And what do you think that is? Or what do you think you could do to try and make that change? Does he go into pit lane early, take that fast repair, take all the fuel he needs now? Or does he stay out as long as possible and try and save a bit of fuel if he can with that car, and just try and stay out as long as possible, see what he can do that way? A bit of oversteer into the corner once again for you on Bremer. And let me tell you one thing, that is not a nice point on the track to have some oversteer. However, the lead is already coming on to the Camel Straight into Lecombe.
And look at him, Frank's just pushing him along, and then just lifts so early. But yeah, I think Bremer hasn't got much of an option. He's got to come in. Like every lap he stays out, he's losing time over what he could be doing if he just came in. So he's got to come in, and if he hasn't got enough space left in the tank to get to the end, then so be it. He's going to come in early and get that repair done though, and then come in and take on fuel for a second stop. Won't make too much of a difference compared to the time he's losing hand over fist every lap because of that damage. But it's going to be interesting to see what these guys do when it comes to pit stops. We've seen in previous hour-and-a-half races in this series, a lot of these guys tend to come in, do their very normal stop, take on all the fuel, take on tyres as well, because the new tyre model means that the tyres are wearing out. And here's the thing with Spar as well, it's a very tyre-intensive track as well. I mentioned it's very easy to overdrive and overheat the tyres a little bit, maybe wear them out just a little bit more than you want to. So interesting to see who does what in the pit stops, whether people take a whole new set of tyres, just one side of tyres, front tyres, back tyres. What's going to happen there, I wonder?
I just got a message from someone here, and it's not a happy message. It is from Dennis Karabelas. He says, just for your information, my car was okay, but I didn't slow down on time. I thought that might have been the case, but I just went with the fact that he did, and his drive shaft was broken. But Ewan Bremer slowed down a lot at the beginning. That's what we saw coming out of the chicane. He said, I didn't slow down enough on time and got a 42-second penalty. I rage quitted. So that's what happened to Dennis Karabelas. He also says, I will also miss the last 2 races. So that's it for me. Thanks for all the commentators. So some nice words there from Karabelas, of course. Thank you very much for competing in the series once again. But that was it for Karabelas for this season. We'll miss the last 2 rounds, and I don't think that was the way he wanted to end this one.
Certainly not, yeah. A bit of a disappointing end to his season from here, but missing the next 2 races. He's currently sitting P3 in the championship anyway, so he shouldn't fall too far. Be very proud of a top 10 finish. He's raced impeccably throughout the series and provided us with some great entertainment. So, yeah, farewell and best of luck in future series. But carry on with the racing here as Place and Callahan are swapping positions as it stands, as yeah, things are starting to get a bit tasty here in this midfield battle. Gonzaga getting involved as well, but Place managed to win that back. I believe he was already ahead, so I'm wondering if Place has made a mistake there and pushed him backwards into Callahan. Callahan now letting Gonzaga through. No, Gonzaga just having a look up the inside. Callahan sweeps around the outside of Brussels into No Name, goes into the lead, and having the lead into Pouan means he's probably going to be the man.
Aha, there's where he paused him.
There's a
Stephen
pit
Place
stop.
has already been into the pit lane. That is what happened. Okay, interesting stuff.
So we have a first person to blink in terms of pit stops then. So pit stops done so far. I believe Kiri Coppola has obviously been in the pit stops once. Guy Robinson, Cascado has also been in the pits, I believe. And we've now got Stephen Place coming out of the pits there in P6 and then quickly retaking it back. So not sure what he took on board there either, but it was a short pit, 1.5 seconds. So I think that might have just been a quick stop and go, get the pit out of the way, maybe get
yeah, he got the quick stop early. I think he's doing the opposite of what they did at Daytona. Let's just get the quick stop out of the way early. If we see him go in now again and take a real pit stop, then he was just like, okay, let's get these pit stops out of the way and let's see what we can do. However, he's not done that, and Stephen Place is going to continue, so he's going to wait a bit longer with that second pit stop. And in that pit stop, absolutely nothing done, so he's just continued his way once again. And I think for Stephen Place, a good thing to try and do something different compared to the rest. And it isn't going to lose him any time because he's still quicker than Galligan and he's not fighting, which I think is what he wanted to avoid. Especially if you go on an alternative strategy like this one, you don't want to fight with anyone because you want to have as much pace as possible. And he went for clean air. He was fighting with Buson, was pressurized by Buson. And even though you're not fighting, if you're pressurized by someone, it's just costing you that little 2-3 tenths a lap.
Oh, he's got very deep there, hasn't he?
Into Lecombe. And that has allowed Scotty Galligan to be all over the back of him once again.
Oh, he's, yeah, Code Brown, he needs a new nappy pronto. And, yeah, he will not be happy with himself for that error there. Just outbraked himself coming into Les Combs. And didn't get the car turned in time to take advantage of the rotation from that inside curve. And means he's weaving a bit now as well. I wonder if that's just communication there to the driver behind, just saying, "No, I'm sorry," or "No, don't overtake me, please don't," or what's going on there. I wonder. It could be misconstrued by stewards as weaving on a straight, but I doubt it. He wasn't really weaving across the entire track. Seemed to be just communicating with another driver, but place getting a bit wobbly there.
Hutchinson still has led, and this sounds crazy with this battle between these three, has led every lap of this race so far. But I don't think that is going to stand. Jürgen Frank and Tim Purdy at some point are going to go for it, and it doesn't seem like at the moment they're going for it. Frank still, like he was before, very calm, pulling his clutch probably. So I think next lap, what we'll do, once they get across the start-finish line, we will shut up for a lap. We'll go on board with Jürgen Frank so you can hear a lap around this track while Jürgen Frank is fuel saving, because I think that in the end is what might be deciding this race here, Stephen.
Certainly might. Strategy is going to become a big part of this, for sure.
Now, Tim Bertie, I think being Tim Bertie, you can be very happy with the fact that your teammate is ahead of you, trying to chase down the leader, trying to put the leader under pressure a bit. And also, what Frank could do is just try and put the leader under pressure, try and put McHutchinson under pressure, and see if he cracks. See if there's a crack in McHutchinson. In the earlier stages of the season, he had a mistake or two in him in this SR8. Now, we've come to the end of the season. Everyone has got used to the car. So I think making a mistake is a bit less apparent now towards the end of the season. But still, not impossible at all. And I think, especially, well, once you've been under pressure for so long of these guys, very much possible that one of these two is at some point just going to make that little mistake, and that will allow Frank and maybe Birdie too to just get past and absolutely bolt into the distance. I think that is what Frank and Birdie are doing at the moment. If that is not going to work, they're probably going to try and do this during the pit stop phase. Now, Jürgen Frank and Tim Birdie, both teammates for the people who don't know yet and have just joined in from Simracing, Beethoven and Team Redline in P1 and 4 with Mike Booston and John McHutchison. But we'll go on board with Jürgen Frank now. We're going to shut up and we're going to give you a lap around this track. Well, that is a lap around this track, and that, I think, was the fastest lap so far. If I'm not wrong, McCutcheon ahead of Frank. Jurgen Frank with the fastest lap of the race so far. Doing well in P2 ahead of Tim Bertie in P3 still. The top three has looked the same ever since they got to the finish line on lap 1. Tim Bertie still in P3 from the qualifying. McCutcheon dropped one position, or gained one position. Frank dropped the one. McCutcheon had a lightning start, and after that has just been holding on to this lead forever. But it's not going to be a case of if, it's going to be a case of when is Jurgen Frank going to go for that move, I think, Stephen.
Yeah, he's just biding his time, waiting for his opportune moment. But in the meantime, Stephen Place has made his second pit stop. This one, 18.5 seconds or more in the box. So he definitely took on fuel. It seemed like he took on tyres maybe, but we did not catch that to see what he did there. But I imagine he probably did take on tyres. So about a 19-second stop time in the box to take on fuel and tyres so far.
He took tyres. With 18 seconds and with the rest on like 30 plus or close to 30, I don't think he took on tyres. He's one of the drivers who's going to go all the way on these tyres, I think.
See how that works out for him. He's down at P7 at the moment though, but he's got both of his stops out of the way. Van Mellis, who's currently down in P12, he was running very high at one point. I'm not sure what's happened to him now. He's now being lapped by Summerfield and currently in P12. 2 stops later.
Well, Stephen Place has done his 2 stops and is the leading drivers of the stops, well, of the pit stoppers. And George Gonzaga and Andy Bean behind him haven't done their second stop yet. That's how quick Stephen Place has been and how quick everyone ahead of him has been so far in this race. So Scotty Galligan is challenging Stephen Place, so it's in. You have to keep an eye on those two. Ewan Bremer, I think Stephen Place, someone spun there. Was that Mike Boosin? It was not. I think someone went round. Daniela Cascado, Andy Bean, Alex Roggenbach is in the pit lane. Meanwhile, Stefan Mellis in 12. Was it Guy Robertson who I saw crash? Gonna have a look, but it sounded like someone in the background had a little bit of a spinner. And yes, it was Guy Robertson, I think. Here we go on the exit of Stavilo. There we go. Car just snaps on him. And it was indeed on the exit there. And we heard it. Is he going to touch the wall though? He's not. He's going to keep it out of the wall. And he's going to continue his way. No harm, no foul there. No barrier touched. But some damage maybe to his confidence in that corner. Because that is a corner where you need the confidence to...
Yeah, you need to get the line up perfect through that one. You need...
Mike Brisson, he's 13 seconds back on this battle, and it seems like his teammate is being played with, let's be honest, by Jurgen Frank and Tim Bertie. They're using him for their fuel. They're playing the ultimate strategy game here, and if there's one team that so far has done everything they needed to do during the strategy, it is Simracing Beethoven. And just like at Daytona during the endurance race, they're showing some impressive teamwork once again. Like they did at Daytona, Team Redline trying their best to try and get in between the two. It's just impossible for them.
Yep, it looks like just a cat playing with its food. Here is Frank on the back of Hutchinson, just staying within 2-3 tenths the entire race so far. 24 laps in, he's been doing this so far. Almost an hour of driving, and he's just been following him around, and it's now down less than a tenth, showing you how close Frank is following McHutchinson. He's just toying with him at this stage, as I say, like a cat playing with a mouse, not letting it get away, but no, not letting it quite die just yet either.
He's going to equal Adam Isaacson in total wins this season, round number 8 of the season. Only, however, 2 different winners, which just tells you the class of these two. Jurgen Frank on 3 wins and Adam Isaacson on 4. Now, if Jurgen Frank wins this race, then, like I said, he equals with Adam Isaacson. Now, however, I don't really know why Adam Isaacson isn't here this evening.
I cannot remember. I'm sure he told us that he might be missing a few races in the future, but Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that the two guys, Frank and Adam Isaacson, the only two guys to have won a race so far this season, and neither of which are probably going to win the championship. They're both going to miss a race or two before the end of the season. And it looks like Tim Bertie is odds on for the championship win so far. And currently occupying P3 is happy to follow his teammate around, take the tow, and breeze his way to what possibly could be one of the easiest championships he's ever earned, where he's just had all he's had to do is turn up, get a podium every week, and he gets handed a championship at the end of the 10 race series. It's really looked that easy for him, but I'm sure it's been anything but from his driving team.
Well, so far, it is Tim Bertie in third at Zandvoort, third at Sebring, not on the podium at Barber, second at Watkins Glen. Then he took, well, he was off the podium in VIR. Took a second at Daytona and took a second at Suzuka. So he hasn't won yet, but he's leading the championship.
Yeah. Consistency is king. And yeah, he's showing that turning up every week, being able to compete at the top every week without fail, not getting any incidents, is very, very valuable.
But it also shows you that you don't need to win every race, or you don't need to win to become a champion. You just need to be there all the time. And I think the lowest finish of 5th this season, Hutchinson retakes that fastest lap on a 2:11.79.
Yep. Cars starting to get a bit lighter now as the fuel runs low. And those faster times are going to become easier to come by, but Frank took it the lap before, and it was very tight between Frank and Tim Bertie, both hitting 11.8, but now Mark Hutchinson hits it an 11.7, but only just, and he's starting to get a move on, but Frank and Bertie seem to be thinking, yeah, it's about time. We've got a lot more in the tank as Bremer comes into the pit for I believe his first stop, so
yes,
we'll be looking to see what happens with him and what he does. He's got that damage to take care of, and he's left it late. Against my advice, we'll see what he does here in the pit stops as he gets the pit stop, car stop just about. A bit of puff of smoke there from the wheels locking up, but doesn't look like he's changing any tyres. He just got the damage fixed though. That front of the car is now looking good as new. Sim Cube livery is there, and he's disappeared. Ooh. And he's out the race. What's gone on there? He's out.
Has he retired of this race?
Retired from the race. I'm not sure. I'm not sure why. We'll have to find out. But yeah, it looks like he is out of this race as it stands. That's what everything is telling us. So Bremer, second retirement of Spar.
That is a weird one. Ewan Bremer, who was up in 5th when he pitted, has retired out of this race, repaired his damage, went into pit lane, did everything he needed to do, and then all of a sudden just said goodbye. That is a weird one, and I cannot explain in any way why Ewan Bremer would do that, and what would be the cause of that. The only thing I can think of is maybe a disconnect for Ewan Bremer, which might have been the case, but that is a very, very weird one.
I mean, I can think of 1,000 things that could maybe go wrong that would cause you to jump out of the race, but yeah, not least maybe his wheel broke, or a pedal broke, or something like that, or, you know, aliens landed in his front yard, and, you know, that sometimes needs dealing with. You know, that needs dealing with.
Go on. What more ways do we have to stop the race?
I mean, what else? What else could possibly, like, come on, you help me out here. What else could possibly cause you to disappear from a race?
We saw Max Verstappen who dropped his pedal at Spa-Francorchamps during the 24 hours. So...
Oh, he also stopped iRacing because his stepdaughter Penelope wanted to play Tea Party. So, you know, maybe Bremer has a daughter called Penelope who wanted to play Tea Party too.
Oh yeah, maybe that too. Yeah, maybe someone wanted a tea party, or someone was distracting him with a pillow with his face on it.
Okay, that's very strangely specific, but yeah, okay, well that works too.
well, I am pretty sure that P did that to Max Verstappen too at some point. She went up to him, showed him the pillow, and then Max said, "Yeah, that's me on the pillow." And then she started, cuddling with the pillow. Very cute. Anyways, Jürgen Frank in P2. He's not looking very cute behind McCutcheon. He's been looking aggressive. This whole race, McCutcheon has been leading for an hour already.
Yeah, that kind of pressure starts to take its toll after an hour, and once he does get overtaken, is he going to have the confidence and the smoothness to follow these guys and stay with them to maybe sneak a look up the inside of a particular corner if they make a mistake? But so far, so good for those Germans behind him, and come down to who's got the guts to pull the trigger first on the pit stop, whether or not they take tyres. It's going to be hugely important. It looks as though not many people are so far taking tyres.
John McCutcheon in P1 still, putting up with the pressure of the two behind him. A little bit further back in the field, everyone is spread out now. Everyone has done their pit stops except 4 drivers. John McCutcheon, Jürgen Frank, Tim Bertie and Mike Buson. All of those 4 drivers still having to make their pit stop. And Galligan, the first one of the drivers who have made their pit stop. However, it is Stephen Blaze who is the first driver who has already made 2 pit stops. The only other driver to have made his second pit stop is Stefan Mellis, the Belgian, who's also made 2 pit stops already, so he might have his season best result here at his home track, Spar Francochamps. Now, I don't know which track is closer to Stefan Mellis, because Zolder is quite close to me. So that's a exciting one to go to maybe for him. Not that we're gonna go to it, because the next 2 rounds are Bathurst and Imola. Those are the last 2 rounds of the season. So 2 very good tracks, not quite Zolder for him. So this is his only home race, but I don't know what track Stefan Mellis is closer to. Maybe have to ask him next time. But Stefan Mellis, a home race for him nonetheless. And he might well get his season best result here, because he's 1 position down already, started in P9. And he's already made his second pit stop, so he might go up to P6, P7 here.
I think his team places a minute and 10 behind the leaders, so they're still going to come out comfortably ahead of him, even after 2 pit stops. Losing about 30 to 40 seconds on the pit stop where you take your fuel, and about 19-20 seconds on the stop and go, just through the pit lane itself. It's looking like tight at the front still. These guys, McCutcheon, Frank and Bertie, have been going out this all race really. I wonder if this is going to be a long test, a 1 hour and a half long test of these guys' nerves. One mistake here could end up wiping out all 3 of them. We've seen something like that similar happen in Sebring, when a car sideways on the track in the wrong place at the wrong time caused Jürgen Frank to dodge out of the way and ended up giving him a drive-through. I wonder what the drive-through situation is like in terms of track limits as well.
At Daytona last time round, Stephen, we had a bit of talk about the pit stops, let's put it like that. I think it was one Paul Crabb who, let's say, kind of forgot the fact that he needed to make another pit stop. Because of that, got disqualified, because he didn't make a second pit stop. He didn't make it at all. He did not only make it too late, which Stefan Mellis did, the Belgian, out of Daytona. He got a penalty for that, but Paul Crabb got disqualified from the race because he didn't even make that second pit stop. So yeah, they have about 17 minutes left to make that second pit stop. Stephen Place and Stefan Mellis both got it out of the way again. Stefan Mellis may be thinking now, well, let's get those pit stops out of the way early. At least I can't, forget it to make it within the 10 minutes mark,
That's it as well. Sometimes you just get too into the zone and you're focusing on the next corner, the next corner, the next corner, and nothing else. Before you know it, your car's conking out just past the pit entry. So you have to go around all over again the whole track. But it's going to be important here between these guys as well, is that time lost going in and out of the pit as well. It's going to be important to see who's practiced the pit entry here at Spar. It is a difficult one. It's tight. It's got walls very close, and if you bonk a wing on there, or get a little bit of damage, that costs you even more time in the pit, even with a fast repair. You've got to take half a second for that fast repair to get done compared to everybody else. But exit as well, very tight, very narrow. Can't cross that white line. You will get a black-white flag for doing so. That could cost you big as well. Drive-through penalties or stop and goes on the table.
Well, the thing is here, they are so close to the limit, Stephen, that coming through Campus and Stavilo, I am getting off-track notifications from all three of these drivers. That is how on edge they are. Who's just come out of the pit lane ahead of them? It looks like Stephen Place. It's not Stephen Place, luckily. It looked like him for a second. It's not Goro Gonzaga either. I have a feeling that it might be Andy B, and it is. And he's going to let them all through. Here they come. All three of them are through. It's nice and easy, especially when you're a back marker, if the leaders are this close. If they are like half a second, well, 7-8 tenths apart. So Frank is 7-8 tenths back from Hutchinson, and Bertie is 7-8 tenths back from Frank. Then there is about 1.6, 1.7 seconds in between them. It's a bit more difficult to let them all through at once. So that's easy for Behan to let them all past. But John McCutcheon is still under pressure, and well, at what point are these guys going to pit? Because are they all four or all three going to go till the 1 hour 10 mark? What we saw Jurgen Frank do last time round at Daytona, which I think was an absolute record last time round. I think John McCutcheon, he's just thinking, let's copy that strategy and let's see what we can do maybe.
Maybe he's just thinking he's going to go as long as he can, as long as he's in front of these guys. He's slowing them down, essentially, because they're not willing to overtake him, give him the tow. That could possibly win him the race. Yeah, maybe he's thinking he's just got to go as far as he can, as fast as he can. Thinking about the next corner, nothing else. These hour-and-a-half races are a different kettle of fish. Those 30-minute ones that we are used to is a lot more time to bring things back if you get things wrong, but at the same time as well, it's a lot longer to be concentrating on every corner and get them all perfect every lap as well. So it's see a lot more mistakes creep in things, especially as you get towards the end. But that is not Busan in the background there. That is a back marker. These guys are at a different level of pace, and McCutcheon leading that pace as well. Seems to be on a par with these guys so far, but it remains to be seen once those guys get past. Will they be able to drop it on McCutcheon? He was rapid in qualifying, managed to get the P2 position from Frank, and managed to get P1 into turn 1, I believe it was, and quickly took control of this race and has led it ever since.
Last time round, a 2:11.774 for Frank. Tell you how close they are. Last time round for McCutcheon, a 2:11.794. 200s exactly in between the two. And for John McCutcheon, that was not a personal improvement. That 2:11.774 for Frank was a fastest lap of the race. That is how close these drivers are lapping to the quickest lap of the race. It is incredible how consistent they are. Tim Bertie behind Jürgen Frank, improving to purple in sector 1 for the German. So Bertie on a roll here too into sector 3, green for him. So all three drivers improving at the moment. Busan, however, behind that. I think you can kind of count him out of the battle for the lead. Something has to happen with these three, which, don't get me wrong, at this track, everything can happen. So, it's a difficult one, but I think Busan, if everything goes right for the three at the front, he's going to be out with a shot at this one.
Yeah, I don't think he's going to be having odds on the podium unless there's something that happens in front that is a bit untoward. But these guys, you've got to say the most impressive thing, like you've touched on there, is the consistency. Not only can they run these laps so fast, they can also do them lap after lap with very little variation from lap to lap as well. Always getting quicker as the car gets lighter, even with tyre deg involved as well. But see here, Frank as well, fastest lap, 11.6. 11.7 again from Bertie as well. Two McCutcheon's 11.8. It means that yeah, they're starting to turn the screw a little bit and get on top of McCutcheon and start make him sweat a little bit.
Well, at what point is McCutcheon gonna crack? So far, he's led 1 hour and 10 minutes of this race. He's never ever been challenged by Jürgen Frank after he got the lead. Is it about time for Jürgen Frank to go for that move? It is not. Jürgen Frank pulls out to the inside. He is going to go for it. And he is just going to try and pressurize McCutcheon a bit. McCutcheon takes none of it. Keeps his line. Breaks later than Jürgen Frank does. But Jürgen Frank wants to get past there. I have a feeling Jürgen Frank is going to come into the pit lane this time round to the outside of Brussels. That is not going to be the move done for Jürgen Frank, but he's on it. He wants to get past now. The screw has been turned up to maximum. Bertie might follow it too. But Frank wants to get past McCutcheon as quick as possible here, Stephen.
Yeah, he's certainly starting to peacock a bit behind McCutcheon there. Get the feathers out, start to stick his nose where it doesn't belong.
Well, I have a feeling with the body language of that car that Frank might be pitting this lap. And he wants to get ahead of McCutcheon before they go into pit lane. However, McCutcheon not allowing that. He has a long straight to contend with too. Is he going to go for the outside of Francochamps to get the inside of the chicane? I think he is. However,
there's a black marker ahead. Be tricky to negotiate if they catch him at the wrong time.
Now stay left, stay left, stay left the screen, stay left the screen. He is. He keeps the inside now for the bus stop chicane that is going to give him the line into pit lane. And they're all going to continue. I thought for a second that all three of them were going to come in. We've had we've had an hour and 10 minutes. We've had the record smashed now because the earliest they're going to come into pit lane is 1 hour and 13 minutes done. So they need to make it quick, and remember, they need to make 2 pit stops. So John McCutcheon, Jürgen Frank, and Tim Burgess, I think, going to make the pit stop, and then immediately after that, go back out again and come back in the next lap.
Yeah, and this battle is definitely starting to get spicy, and it's the toe down the Kemmel straight now for Frank, and he's already within a second. Well, within 1/10 of Jürgen Frank. McCutcheon goes early to the inside, defending. Says, go the long way around. I'm not letting you have it. He squeezes it to the outside, breaks late, but look at that. Jürgen Frank keeps his nose up the inside. He's going to have the inside from Almedy now, and this is fantastic racing from the two. And John McCutcheon holds onto it for the time being, and they both get a little bit squirrely there on the exit. Is that going to open the door for Tim Bertie? It is not. He closes the door to the inside for Frank as well. Once more, a defensive masterclass here from John McCutcheon. Fantastic defending here to go through no name and down into Puan. He should have this tied up for this moment in time, but looks to the inside here, Frank. He's going to go for this audacious dive down the inside into Puan. He gets alongside, he gets ahead, and John McCutcheon tries to hold it around the outside. Is Bertie going to get his nose in the inside here? He's whizzed, but look at this, fantastic racing around the outside now. Goes McCutcheon into Campus as he does not want to give it up. He's going to have the inside for the next one, keeps his nose inside. Frank goes a bit wide, uses all of the track, and gets the move done, and finally makes it stick. Wow, what fantastic racing that was in the end.
Fantastic racing, like you said. Tim Burt is now going to have a shot at it. McCutcheon might well get past Jürgen Frank here. McCutcheon breaks very late going into Lefan, into the chicane. John McCutcheon, here he is around the outside. And no, right, you're not going to do that, right? He is. McCutcheon is going to do it around the outside of Bertie, or Frank, excuse me. And into pit lane he goes. There is the difference between the two. There is the difference. And we're going to see it now. John McCutcheon into pit lane. Frank and Tim Bertie are going to have to come in next lap. Else they're not going to have time to come around for a second time.
Yep, they've got to get in the pits twice now. They've got 5 minutes left. Well, 6 minutes and 50 seconds left to do so. You get that second pit stop done before the 10-minute mark. Otherwise, they could be subject to a penalty or disqualification. Don't do either. But McCutcheon first to pull the trigger. He'll have not been saving as much fuel, of course, so would most likely be the first to pull the trigger. It'll be interesting to see what he can do now in clean air compared to these guys. What these guys can do, whether their lap times are going to improve drastically, and whether or not they can then get in and out of the pits before Hutchinson gets around. But look at this, Frank on the limit so much. He got very squirrely there on the exit to Malmedy as he comes through Bruxelles and around No Name. He needs to try and gap Bertie, otherwise Bertie could be causing him problems on in the final moments of this race. He goes very wide there out of No Name. That will be an off track for sure. The commits to Pouon. So yeah, let's have a look and see what kind of lap times these guys can do when they do finally cross the line in free air for the first time this race. McHutchinson pits first out of the top three. Bertie and Frank finally allowed to spread their wings a little bit.
Now, like you said, it's going to be interesting to see what kind of lap time they can put down. It's important for them to pit this lap. If they don't, and listen to me carefully here, if they don't, they are not going to have any time to come around for a second time. They need to make their first pit stop now, and they need to make their second pit stop the lap after that. Jürgen Frank, however, I have a feeling is not going to want to do that. And he wants to continue because it feels like he has about 3-4 more laps in that tank with the saving he's been doing. They are going to come in now. And Tim Bertie is, of course, going to follow him in. They both know they need to pit this time round. However, where is John McHutchison? He's coming through Stavolo now into Curve Pool Flare.
That's a long way away. I don't think he's going to get it done. I think these guys have done a fantastic in-lap there. And I think it was a 2:15 in-lap to McHutchison's 2:17 lap with the pit stop. So, yeah, I don't think he's going to catch them. And, yeah, Frank and Bertie out of the pits already. He's only just coming down the pit straight, is McHutchison. So, lost a lot of time there.
What has happened there, Stephen, just not to confuse anyone, is that both Jürgen Frank and Tim Bertie have taken their 1 second pit stop, so just stopping and going again, not doing anything. I've taken that now, and John McHutchison is going to do that this lap. So, John McHutchison, we're going to see a battle on pit road, because Jürgen Frank and Tim Bertie are going to come in to take their full service pit stop, take the fuel on board that they need, and John McHutchison is going to come into pit lane and just stop for a second and go back out again. So we're going to see a battle on pit road here.
All on top of each other in the pits then at the end of this lap. So that's going to be entertainment to the max, I'm sure, as McHutchison currently setting a decent sector 5 there on his previous lap after he got his tyres warmed up. And I suppose he will have the better tyre situation as they come out in this battle as well, because he will have been stopped or stationary for less time than Frank and Bertie. So I'm wondering how sharp his elbows are as get down to crunch time.
Frank, well, he's the deciding factor. He's gapped Tim Bertie by a mile because he's finally, like you said, spread his wings a bit as he's finally shown his pace. So I have a feeling McHutchison is going to slot in ahead of Bertie, but behind Frank here, here's John McHutchison only just coming out of Stavolo, going into Curve Pool Frere, then into Blanchemont, into the bus stop chicane, into pit lane. Jürgen Frank, there we go, into pit lane he goes. But where's John McHutchison? There is John McHutchison coming through Blanchemont now. And this is going to be the battle on pit road. John McHutchison is going to pull right here. Needs to pull right here. Needs to make that second pit stop. So does Mike Buisson. And then we've all had our second pit stop. The only one to make a second pit stop is Alex Roggenbach, who needs to still do it. There's John McHutchison. There's Jürgen Frank at the end of pit lane. Now let's see, is McHutchison going to come through in time? I don't think so. There in the background is Hutchinson.
Frank is moving,
no, he's not going to do
and
it.
so is Bertie, and yeah, they've managed to create that gap. He's got there before, and he's had to reverse as well.
Box.
He's had to reverse as well, so that has cost him even more time, and that could be good night to P1 or P2 for McHutchison, as he's led the entire race so far, only to lose it at the most vital moment. You'll be very disappointed with that, but I think he was covered by a long stretch anyway, pace-wise, because Frank is already putting in frighteningly fast purple sectors in sectors 2 and 3 on this lap as well. So he's going to be rapid in now that he's got some free air.
36 laps done here with 11 minutes and 20 seconds left on the clock. Jürgen Frank, what a pace he's been putting in. 2.6 seconds, you can see the gap to Tim Birdie now. And that he has done in 2 laps. It's 2 laps and he's pulled out 2.7 seconds to the driver behind. That is an off track for sure. He's going to get into the point for that. I don't know how many he has left. However, I have a feeling that Tim Birdie will be content with P2. He knows that Jürgen Frank is not a threat in the championship anymore. He just needs to finish well in those last 2 rounds at Bathurst and Imola. And he has done the job. He's done what he needed to do. However, I think Bathurst, even the most frightening of the 2. On the limit is Frank. He leaves nothing on the table here at the moment.
At all, is it? Like, he's getting tyres into the gravel trap on the exit there, and is absolutely hammering it. 3 seconds now, the gap. And remember, these guys were following each other within 2/10 the entire race so far, and it's just the last 10 minutes or so. Jürgen Frank has kept it all in the locker and has just put the pedal to the metal and is just disappearing into the wilderness here in the Ardennes Forest, and he's just leaving these guys for dust. It is unbelievable how he's got this level of concentration and the level of pace he's got here. But I mean, he is an 8K, 8,885 I rating racer, so he's been there, done it, and he's definitely got the credentials to back this kind of performance up. And he's done it once more. But that's the sad thing is, though, is that it should be him and Adam Isaacson fighting for this championship. But Birdie has just managed to outdo them both just through pure cleanliness and showing up and being consistent, and that is more important in these short series.
Well, Tim Birdie, like I said, will be content with P2. It'll be everything he wants. Of course he would love a win. Of course he would love his first win of the season. But Jürgen Frank is going to continue the fact that only 2 drivers so far this season have been able to win a race. If he can cross the finish line where he is right now, that is in P1, because only Adam Isaacson and Jürgen Frank have been able to win races 4 between the 2. If Jürgen Frank wins this one, they have been dominant if they have taken part, Stephen, and I don't think anyone can take anything away from what they've done so far. But it also shows you that you can be as quick as you want. You can win 4 races in a season, but if you're not performing in the rest, or you're not able to be at all the other races, someone like Tim Birdie, who's always there in the top 3 but not winning the races, will eventually take that victory, and that victory in the championship.
There's consistency, like we say, once more is king, and McCutcheon still on for a decent podium here. He'll be very happy with that. He's not going to be too disappointed that he's lost out to these 2 guys ahead. They are very fast guys, at least 1,000 I rating over him on the board anyway, so kind of does look that way. We look down the I rating grid in an I rating order. Kind of like the big standout is Scott Callahan, who is
how many is he? I think we have a problem. Stephen, are you there? We have a bit of an issue with Stephen. Well, is Mike Brace on the P4 still 28 seconds back on the 3 ahead of him. McCutcheon is gaining slowly but surely a 10th in the last 2 laps on Tim Birdie, which is by far not going to be enough. However, the lights now becoming more and more apparent on these cars and on the track. Tim Birdie in P2 is going to try and make his way around to try and get back up to Frank. However, I have a feeling someone is back with us. Stephen, are you there?
I certainly hope so.
Yes, he is.
Not sure what's happened there, but yeah, technical issues aside.
Now repeat yourself if you want. How many I rating was Scotty Gallagher?
So Scotty Callahan is nestling on around 2,896 I rating as it stands, and currently highest outperformer of his I rating in the race so far, beating a 3,673 racer behind him. as it stands. But yeah, other than the guys who are out, everything else is pretty much as you work. Anything as in normal order. Guy Robinson underperforming a little bit by his high rating. 2,153 he's got, and he's currently sitting 12 near the back of this grid. But, Frank, obviously, 8,085. Good old Bob's. And
I don't think he can really outperform his I rating, can he? Even if he wins. Like, this man has... I think if you would put him up against anyone in the finals, he would absolutely blast them. However, if you want to see that, make sure you subscribe to the JP Broadcasting YouTube channel, because the finals are going to be coming your way in about 3-4 weeks time once you've ended the regular season. 2 rounds to go, like I said, a sprint round at Bathurst, and then we end with an endurance round at Imola.
Very much looking forward to that one.
Oh, for sure. What a track that is.
Yes, beautiful, beautiful
Ferrari,
track.
Imola.
Yeah, beautiful track, and it will be so much fun in these cars with the way they handle, and the track is.
What's your favourite track on the calendar?
I'm going to say Imola. I think I've got to go with Imola. Personally, like, it's just a roller coaster of a track. It's got some very, very difficult corners, very quick corners, and corners where you can. It really just lends itself to giving you all the grip you need, and it can be. Maybe not so much in an F1 car, but it can be a great racetrack as well. It's a bit wobbly there. Big switch there from Frank, as he shows that it's not all to be taken granted for. If he maybe a bit too twitchy there, could have ended up buried upside down in a barrier, losing this race at the death. Yeah, Nappy back on, false alarm, and yeah, could have cost him big, that one, but. Did he manage to save it?
Well, my favourite track, and am I under threat from the Dutch government or anyone in the Netherlands if I don't say it's Zandvoort, because Zandvoort is on the calendar? I'm gonna say it's VIR. Because VIR has...
Bold choice.
Well, VIR has everything that Imola has, but it's just more annoying for the drivers, because it is such a difficult track. It has absolutely no runoff area, which Imola has a bit of, let's put it like that. Imola is also, at some parts, a very old school track, but I think the middle sector, you have a lot of room to run off, let's put it like that. And it's different, but I think that VIR, it might not be a popular opinion, but in my opinion, think that is the coolest track we've gone to on the calendar, and the track that I definitely like the most to see these drivers go around, because it's such a technical track, and the drivers have to be, well, they have to keep concentration for the whole race. Sadly, they had a sprint round there, not an endurance round. However, even Frank is giving it some air on every exit. He's sliding his way around this track.
I mean, maybe his tyres are a bit worse for wear as well, but he's got a big gap over Bertie, and he's happy to just give it some real welly round here at Spar. He is rapid as well, 11.26, fastest lap of the race, belongs to him, and he's doing 11.9s as well that last lap as well. Tim Bertie is actually a little bit quicker with 11.6 last lap and 11.6 for John McHutchinson as well. But Jürgen Frank showing that he's got maybe 4 tenths over these guys behind him in each lap there. If he pushes, he's got so much time in hand. This guy is unbelievably quick. It's a pleasure to watch him.
Oh, it's Tim Bertie though. He's not leaving anything behind. He's actually been gaining on Jürgen Frank in terms of consistency so far.
Interestingly, Callahan there getting into the 11s as well, than 11.8. Currently faster by more than almost a second than the two guys in front of him, Mike Pousson and Stephen Place. And worth noting as well that everybody's pit stops are all done and dusted, so no disqualifications or penalties as far as I know.
The only ones, of course, Iwan Bremer and Dennis Karabelas, but they were only able to stop once. Iwan Bremer, I have no message from, sadly. Okay, well, Iwan says, I was having a terrible night, dead slow, and just quit after 15 incident points and a drive-through. Yeah.
Very unfortunate for him then, so yeah, but
So 2 rage quits
This week.
really this race. Something I didn't expect. However, Jürgen Frank, here he is going to come through. There is the white flag. He's going to get the white flag on the right-hand side of screen right now. There is Barney waving that white flag behind the barrier. You have to watch very closely as a driver to see that white flag. Don't know why he's in the tower on... I don't know why he's not in the tower on the left-hand side there. But Barney waving the white flag on the left-hand side in front of the grandstand. Tim Bertie has seen that white flag too, and that will be a relief for him maybe. Because he knows that he's going to pick up another second place if he just finishes off this lap as he is. Jürgen Frank has overtaken, I think that is Guy Robertson. It is Guy Robertson ahead of him or behind him, and he will finish this time round 2. Jürgen Frank, what a drive from the German. Nothing more to say really. He's been absolutely incredible.
We've come to expect it from the German. Precision to the highest order. Raced his own race. Could have got past McCutcheon at any time and gapped him, I'm sure. But just held his nerve, gave him the time and space, and yeah, worked out nicely. Gave him an extra lap over his rival McCutcheon, and yeah, as soon as he was given that free air, created a gap to Tim Bertie in such short order that it proved that he had been resting on laurels the whole race long, and had a lot of pace left in the tank. And now his final lap here in that yellow race spot car. We're going to have a battle here between Melis and Behan as well. And it is Melis in the turquoise on the inside here, getting a bit of elbows out and antsy here as the bounty hunter livery car, but gets past us, Behan, and guy in yellow, luminous yellow, holds on to the position for now.
Well, Jürgen Frank has done everything he needed to do this evening. He's going to continue his streak, and he's going to equal Adam Isaacson on total wins in the series. Just this exit to go, and Jürgen Frank, ladies and gentlemen, has done it once again. He wins another one. Jürgen Frank wins the 1 hour and 30 minutes of Spar Francochamps, round number 8 of the Radical SR8 Europe. And what a drive from the German. Behind him, it is Tim Bertie's teammate, and another 1-2 for Simracing Beethoven. What a drive from both Germans. And that Simracing Beethoven team played the strategy like they do usually, and what a job they did. John McCutcheon not able to do the same. He was there the whole race, led for about 1 hour and 15 minutes, but in the end, didn't lead when it mattered. Mike Buson is going to come through in P4. It is Melis who overtook Andy Behan at the line, by the way. He's got PA. Even place ahead of Scotty Gallagher. What a drive from the Australian. We're going to see more of him, I'm sure, in the American one. Join us for that in about 4 hours time from now. But Scotty Gallagher comes through in 6th. 7th is Gonzaga, but we're going to have to wait a little while before he gets through. Ricardo, I think, is going to come across the line, and Roggenbuck in P11. But what a race we've seen, Stephen.
Yep, some fantastic drives out there from other members of the grid as well. Gonzaga had a nice quiet one, but had the pace to get himself a nice strong finish. Callahan with an absolutely impeccable drive, going up 8 positions, even with a spin, after an overly aggressive move into Stavilo. That didn't come off for him, but we'll have a replay here of Melis.
No way,
and,
he's going to go around the outside of Blanchimont. Stefan Melis, sorry to interrupt you, he's gone around the outside of Andy Behan at Blanchimont, the Belgium, using all his track knowledge about this track, his home track this season, to overtake Andy Behan on the last lap on the outside of Blanchimont.
What a move that was. What a move that was indeed. Absolutely brilliant by Stefan Melis there, showing real bravery in a flower corner, as we see there. And again, the JPV logo on the front of his car as he starts doing some donuts for our entertainment. Fantastic drive from him. As I was saying, Callahan up 8 positions. Terrific drive from him, starting at the back with some real pace and challenging get through the order. Stephen Place with a good drive, loses one position to Mike Bousson. It was all in the pit strategy as well, but it seemed to be a big on the pit strategy here today at Spar. All important was that strategy.
Here we have the results. Jurgen Frank in P1 ahead of Tim Birdie in P2. Another 1-2 for Simracing Beethoven. Then John McCutcheon in P3 ahead of Mike Bousson in P4. Stephen Place in P5 ahead of Scott Galligan in P6. George Gonzaga P7. Stefan Mellis in P8. P9 for Andy Bean. And P10 for Daniele Cascado. P11 for Alex Roggebuck. 12th, Guy Robertson. Iwan Bremer in P14. P13, and Dennis Kiriakopoulos was the first one to retire of the two, Iwan Bremer and Dennis Kiriakopoulos, in 14. Well, let's see if we can have a chat to one of these drivers. Let's start with the driver who, in the end, finished 3, but led most of this race. John, welcome into the booth. John, are you there? I don't think John is there. We have a backup option, though. Jurgen Frank is with us in the booth now. We'll start with a winner of this race then. Jurgen, welcome into the booth.
Congratulations are in order.
Yeah, thank you very much.
Yeah, it's another win under the belt. That gives you equal amount of wins with Adam Isaacson for the season. Only you two guys have won a race so far, and you seem to be trading them like playing cards. It looks too easy out there almost at times for you. Talk us through the race from your point of view.
Yeah, the race itself, quali at first went very good. I had a very good lap, could achieve the pole position. But at the race start, John had a rocket start and was before turn 1 he was already too wide with me, and somehow he had such a crazy top speed, and yeah, he just overtook me before Le Comp, and I could never overtake him back that easily, because the plan was that I overtake him in the next lap and try to pull a gap, but he was way too fast. His pace was very good, but the top speed was the biggest problem. So yeah, we decided then to save fuel quite a lot. I mean, we were fuel saving for 70 minutes or something. And
A long time you spent looking at the back of John Mahushin's gearbox. How difficult is that a skill to follow behind somebody so closely for so long? And how do you do that? You just set it yourself, all right, okay, he's doing 12s, I need to do a 12.1, and that you just know how to do a 12.1, or how do you deal with that?
Yeah, basically you just try to lift as soon as possible at first, and applying the clutch. And yeah, then you have to see how long you can do it, not to lose the draft, and to optimize the fuel saving. Because if you lift too late, you use too much fuel. If you lift too early, he's gone maybe. So yeah, but after a few laps, I'm very sure I found a very good way to save fuel.
That ended up being vital in the end, but once you came out of the pits, you were unbelievably rapid in comparison to Tim Birdie. It looked like you'd kind of been released, and all of a sudden you were banging in fastest lap after fastest lap. What was that like when you came out of the pits, having the free road in front of you? How did that feel?
Yeah, that felt very, very good, of course. Yeah, we both were surprised by the 1 second I gained in the pit stop, because we refueled the same amount of fuel. I think it was like 13 liters. And yeah, I don't know if it was from the pit entry or from the start out of the pits, or maybe just my pit crew was faster. I don't know.
Is that something you work on in practice sessions? Is the pit entry and getting those to the limits as well, or do you just kind of like wing it and think to yourself, well, I'll find out what it's like on the day?
Yeah, you always have to practice that. Even when I only did the practice on the server, but that was part of the practice to
Yeah.
do the pit entry, do the start out of the pits, and the pit exit, of course, too.
So yeah, it's always important to practice everything. I find practice a race as you would race essentially. But dominant display once more again. But what do you think? Maybe would have Adam Isaacson, were he here, would he have maybe put a spanner in the works today? He is a man who is absolutely rapid as well. What do
Yeah,
you
we
think?
are most of the time we have the same pace. So the race today would have been decided if one of us saved more fuel, maybe, and to break the draft after the pit stop. And yeah, but most likely, I think we would have the same as in Watkins Glen when it just comes to a battle on the track for the last laps, or maybe some backmarker finishes the battle. But yeah, we
Well,
are most of the time have the same pace. So, yeah, very close.
That is racing. Anything can happen, but you're going to be disappointed as well that given your wins this season as well, that you're not competing for the championship as it stands, because Tim Birdie has been ever present almost, and his consistency means that he's running away with the championship, given his P2 today. You must be disappointed that you can't really compete with him over that the whole season.
Yeah, I think he's very eager to win the championship, and I also hope we can win the team championship. I think that should look very good now.
Yeah, I think that's all but sewn up really with a 1-2 here today. So congratulations on that. But
Yeah.
we'll give you confirmation soon enough, I'm sure.
Yeah, they were really big points today. But I also have to say the fight with John today, it was so much fun for those 2 laps because I couldn't overtake him on the straight, so I had to find another way. And I tried for 2 laps, and I finally made it happen. Yeah, my goal was to overtake him before he pits, so I can gain 1 more second, basically, because that's the difference. If I'm half a second behind him, or now I was half a second in front of him, so that was very good for me.
Certainly worked out in the end. Any questions from you, Dan? Or should we move on to John McHutchinson's interview? He's disappeared.
Yeah, my pleasure. I'm always lucky to be here because I only join for the wins. So I hope we can see us again. All right. Have a nice evening, guys.
You too, bro.
Thanks.
The good news is everybody was a winner here today. John McHutchinson, I don't think really believes we haven't got him for an interview, but we did, but he's disappeared. Maybe he'll come back. But you'll be happy with P3. A podium here against these guys and cementing his position in the top 10 this season so far as well. We started the day in P9. He'll jump up a few spots as well, as will Buson and Place as well, who've been very consistent top half finishes this season. So, but Callahan, what a race from him. The number 666 fella from Australia, even with the netco that you must no doubt have, manages to gain 8 positions, overtaking people left, right, and centre very aggressively at times. What a race he's had.